Hey, this is Brian Nagley. I'm a beekeeper in southern New Hampshire. I want to do a quick video on frames and foundation and what I use and why. And this is what I use. This is a natural foundation and it comes pre-wired vertically. And I just put in a cross wire this way, and then on the other side I put one in this way. And that's what I use for brood frames. And the reason why I use it, and I found over the years, that my bees that have a natural foundation, they tend to survive the winter better. And I have a couple guesses on why that is. And one is I think heat transfers through the wax better than it does a plastic foundation. When you have bees on this side and bees on this side, and they're vibrating their little wing muscles to create microwaves to heat each other, the heat's not going to go through this very well. It's plastic. It's hard plastic with wax on top, and this is wax. So also, if the cluster's on this side of the frame and they have food on the other side, they can just eat through that. They can't eat through that because it's hard plastic. They can eat through a lot of things, but they just can't get through that. That may be one reason. That's actually two reasons. Heat transfer and the ability to move through the comb. Those are the reasons, I think. I still have a bunch of these, but if I have these, and anyway, what I do is I put a spacer ring for the winter so that I have 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch above this frame, so all the bees can collect at the top, and then they can get a proper heat transfer. But with these, if you have just your regular inner cover and it's sitting this high above the frames and they have food on the other side and it's really, really cold, I think it's really hard for them to move over it. Where with the natural foundation, they can just eat right through. And I think the heat transfer is better through that anyway. So those are my guesses, but the fact is, when I use these, they survive. Now the way I have this wired, with just one wire this way and then one on the other side this way, if you're using this for honey, you don't want to wire it that way because when you spin it out, it won't stay together. What you would want to do is run the wire in this side and go back and forth all the way up and run all your wires across, and then you would want to use a wire embedder, which is something that sends electricity through the wire, and it basically shorts a battery and it makes the wire hot, and then it goes into the wax, and you would want to do it that way. But I was just going to show you real quick how this type of frame works. This is a wedge top and it's a split bottom, so when this is new, this is just sitting in the bottom, and the bees will build this solid. But I just wanted to show you how I do it because there's not a lot of videos. And like I said, if you're going to use this to extract honey, you don't want to just run one wire this way, one on the other side this way. You want to go back and forth all the way up, or it won't hold. So it's going to be really hard to do this because I'm right-handed. This wedge top will come it'll be cut about 90%. And what you do is take a knife and you run down this, and this one's actually broken in the middle, but that's okay. And I'm just going to break it the rest of the way. What I do is I'll hold my knife here, and I just run this like this to get that edge off. And I do that so that the tool isn't moving and I don't cut myself. Bleeding takes time. I don't want to spend any extra time. So I'll clean these up. And then there's going to be a same lip on the frame. Once again, it's hard for me to do this right-handed and show you. But I'm just going to clean that up. And the foundation comes just stacked like this with paper on one side. And we may not be able to see in the video, but the wires come out of one side and they take a right angle. And those will be the top. And the bottom is just gonna sit right in this groove. Takes a minute to get used to getting these in here. I'm gonna sit in my lap. There we go. And now I've got it set like this, and you can see the wires aren't taking a 90 degree. So I usually take my knife and I squish them down. And this one wants to keep falling out. But I'll squish these at 90 degrees. Yep. And they're kind of brittle, so a lot of them will break, but you're not only gonna pinch this wood down on the wire, but you're gonna push it that way against the wax as you nail it in. And this particular one's special because it was already broken. So basically I'm gonna set this here, find a nail. And if you're strong enough, you can push the nail in like that. Find my hammer. You want a 3/4 inch nail. If you get a 1 inch nail, it'll pop out the other side. And remember, we're pushing against the wax and we're pushing down against the wire. The other thing about this that I forgot to mention in the beginning, whoops, that way, is the reason why we go through all this trouble is not only because these help them go through the winter better, but they love this wax and they will draw it out in the spring. For me, in the spring, May and June, they'll draw this out, the whole box, in about a week, where the regular plastic foundation could take them over a month. Sometimes they don't finish it in a year. I mean, they really, really love this stuff. And if you've been beekeeping for a few years and you've been thinking about trying this, I would just do it, because you won't do it any other way from then on, because you're helping the bees help themselves, and it really shows. If it's bowed a little bit, I like to bend the wires after till this is naturally wants to sit straight. And then we move to wiring it. I've got this little jig here to hold my spool. If you've run electric fence wire, you know that if you just let this wire go, this whole thing will just turn into a big pile of wire. So you want to build a jig. I could do a separate video on that real quick, and I think I will. But for now, I'm just going to show you what I do. I've got these little eyelets, and those protect the frame from the wire so that the wire also stays tight. All right, we just ran out of storage space, so we had to get that fixed. I'm using a 1 inch nail. I don't know, use whatever you want for a nail, but I'm just gonna smack this down. If you get a 1 inch, then you don't need to hit your fingers. But I put it down to about a 1/4 inch, and I wrap the wire. Probably 3 times is good enough. Usually I have enough wire there to probably go down 5 or 6 times. You want to Then we're gonna go to this end. And I usually guess here. I like to only wrap it 3 times, but usually I have enough there to wrap it 5 or 6. I'm gonna make sure my little hook eye's in there. All right, we just had a camera issue again, but you're gonna need a wood clamp next. And you wanna put a little tension on this frame. You just wanna squish it down a little bit so it bows in. Just a hair. And then we'll grab another 1-inch nail. Pound it into about 1/4 of an inch. And you want to pull it as tight as you can and put your finger over it. Wrap it at least 3 times. And then hammer it down. Snip off the end. That usually goes flying, and that'll never go into your foot. It'll go into your spouse's foot. Okay, so you'll be safe. Kind of. Then let go of the clamp. And that's wire number 1. I'm going to do wire number 2. Little eyelets. I think I called them hook eyes. Eyelets. You can get this wire and these eyelets all over the place. You can get them on eBay, Temu, Amazon. If you're ordering frames from any bee supply, any large bee supply, you can get all this in that order. That's a rusty nail, but it'll be all right. So again, hammer it to about 1/4 inch. Wrap it about 3 or 4 times. Point, you want to clamp it. Just a little tension in the middle, so when it springs back, your wire's good and tight. Done. Make sure she plays. Yep. All right, and a recap. The reason why I use these frames: in the winter, the bees can eat straight through them, better heat transfer, and they absolutely love to build this in a fraction of the time as plastic foundation. For honey extraction, the best thing you can do is get the plastic frame that's one solid piece for the whole thing. And those never blow apart. But this is, once again, this is good for brood. It's not good for honey doing it this way, unless you run that wire all the way around and then embed it. And that's it.